All right, so we have notes 2.12, point slope form to slope intercept form algebraically. So to find the slope intercept form from point slope form, we are going to first start with using distributing and combining like terms. So where it says to distribute the slope into parentheses, what that really means is that we multiply the slope into the parentheses. Okay? Where it says combine like terms, this means that we add or subtract numbers without a variable. We can combine like terms for numbers that do have a variable, but for today's purposes, it's the ones without a variable. So first things first, let's write the point slope form. So we have a slope of -3, a point of 2, 8. So when we write point slope form, we have y equals -3, x minus 2, because x's are liars. They lie to the equation when we plug it in, and then we have plus 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to copy it right below. And when we do, this is when we start using those steps. So again, that first step is to multiply the slope into the parentheses. So -3 times x is a -3x. -3 times -2 is a positive 6. That was all of the parentheses, so everything else we can bring down. Then what we're going to do is we are going to combine like terms, which means we're going to add the numbers without a variable. Well, I got 6 and 8 without a variable, so 6 plus 8 is a positive 14. I don't mess with anything else, so I bring everything else down. And look, now that is in slope-intercept form. So our slope-intercept equation is y equals -3x plus 14. We do the same thing in number 2. So we write out the point slope form equation. So we got y equals 5 times x plus 3 minus 2. Again, the x value lies when we plug it into the point slope form equation. We're going to copy this back out so that we can use it to figure out our slope intercept form. So we distribute the 5, so 5 times x is 5x. Then we distribute the 5 to the 3, and 5 times 3 is 15, and it stays positive. We didn't mess with anything else, so we just bring all the other pieces down. Then we need to combine like terms, and our like terms are 15 and minus 2. Well, 15 minus 2 is 13, so we have a plus 13. We didn't mess with anything else, so we bring everything else down. And look, that is now in slope-intercept form. So we have y equals 5x plus 13. In class, we all tried 3 and 4 on our own. So why don't you pause the video and see how you do on your own. All right, so hopefully you got the point slope form. Y equals -4 times x plus 3, parentheses plus 10. Again, remembering that the x lies in the equation, so that's why we have a plus 3 and not a minus 3. Then we rewrite the equation and we distribute -4 to the parentheses. So -4 times x is a -4x. -4 times 3 gives us that -12. Then what we do is we had to combine like terms, and our like terms are -12 and 10, and -12 plus 10 gives us this -2. So that's why we got y equals -4x minus 2 as their slope intercept. Next up, we have the point slope form of the equation for number 4, which is y is equal to 2 parentheses x minus 6 parentheses minus 8. And when we copy that down, we have to distribute. So 2 times x gives us 2x. 2 times -6 gives us this -12. Then we need to combine like terms. -12 minus 8 gives us a -20. So our slope-intercept form of the equation is y equals 2x minus 20. On the back side of your paper, you have point slope form equals point slope form is y equals m times the quantity of x minus x1 plus y. and m represents the slope, x1 represents the first x, y1 represents the first y. So this is like the super mathy way to write out point slope form. I prefer the super awesome Miss Rawolf formula that we've been using. But slope intercept form also has a super mathy way, and this is what we're going to be using for this backside here. So it's y is equal to mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay? So what we're going to do is to find the slope-intercept form of the equation with plugging in, we're going to replace the m's number. And again, we're using this y equals mx plus b. We're using the SIF. Then we replace x and y with those numbers that we are given. Then we're going to do some math, which is slope times x's number. And then lastly, we're going to figure out what the b value, aka the y-intercept, that makes this equation true. So first things first, writing the point slope form of the equation, we have y equals -3 times x minus 2 plus 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that y is equal to mx plus b. Okay? Now, my slope is my m, which is -3. My x is a 2, and my y is an 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation and we are going to plug in. So let's replace that y with an 8. Right, we replace the y with the 8 because that's what we said y is. I'm trying to color coordinate here too. This equals to, my m is a -3. And then our x is a 2. And remember, this m and this x are being multiplied. So we have to represent it after we put it in the mathy part. So we have to represent it using multiplication of a parentheses. So this says -3 times 2. And then we don't know what our y-intercept is, so that's what we're going to try and figure out, which is that b. So now in step 3, it says to do math stuff. So multiply the slope and the x. So our slope is -3, our x is 2, so -3 times 2 gives us a -6. So that means we can bring everything else down because we didn't mess with anything else. Then what we need to do is we need to figure out b. In order to figure out b, x needs to go to the dark side, right? It's got to go to the other side. It's got to go to the dark side. And when someone goes to the dark side, that means they change, right? Like Anakin Skywalker changed into Darth Vader. So what happens to this -6 is we add that 6 on both sides, right? It's going to the dark side. And if 6 goes to the dark side, well, he's no longer a Jedi. He's no longer on the right side of this equation. So what we're left with is a b. But I can do the math and figure out 8 plus 6, which is 14. And that 14 is our y-intercept. So we can plug that into our slope-intercept form. So we have y equals, our slope was a -3x, and we figured out the y-intercept, which was a +14. And this matches with number 1 from earlier. It was the same problem, and we got the same slope-intercept form. Okay? So, looking at number 6, we have a point slope of y equals 5 times x plus 3 minus 2. And the reason why I can go fast here now is because you guys have done so much point slope of an equation. Now we're going to plug in. So using that y equals mx plus b, we're going to plug in. And our y this time is a -2. Our our slope this time is a 5. Our x this time is a -3, so I got to write times -3. We don't know our b, so I have a plus b. Now that everything's plugged in, let's do some math. So 5 times negative 3 is a negative 15. That's the only thing I changed, so everything else can get brought down. And we need to figure out b and get it by itself. Well, in order to do that, that 15 is going to have to go to the dark side. So it becomes a plus 15, because when you go to the dark side, you change, which means he is no longer a Jedi. So he gets crossed out. So all we're left with is a b. Negative 2 plus 15 gives us 13. And now we have the y-intercept of 13. And this matches number 2 from the front side of our worksheet, right? We get 5x plus 13, right? We had the same slope and point for number 2, and we got the same answer. Look at that. So, just like before, I want you to try 7 and 8 by yourself using the plug-in method. So go ahead and give it a go. Pause the video. All right, hopefully you got these slope-intercept form equations. So here's the point slope for number 7. And when we replace y, we should have a 10. When we replace m, we should have a negative 4. When we replace x, we should plug in negative 3. And then we need to figure out this plus b. And negative 4 times 3 gives us a positive 12. When we move it to the dark side, it becomes a minus 12. So that means it's no longer on the right, it has moved to the left. So we got 10 minus 12, which is a negative 2 for our y-intercept, which leaves us with a slope-intercept form of y equals negative 4x minus 2. In number 8, here is our point slope form. You guys have been doing great with that. Our y is negative 8. Our m was a 2. Our x is a 6. So now we have 2 times 6 is 12. So we have to take 12 and take them over to the dark side to figure out b. And when we do that, we get a negative 12. And the 12s cancel on the right. Negative 8 minus 12 is a negative 20, which is our y-intercept. So we get y equals 2x minus 20. Please don't forget to do our homework tonight. The front is distributing and combining like terms. The back is going to be for plugging in. Okay? Everyone, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.